Welcome to the English section of our virtual education. In English, we'll be covering chapter 13, which is adjectives, adverbs, and prepositions. We've touched on all these already, but I'm purposely doing this because we have touched on it already. Trying to keep it at a continual pace where it's hopefully nothing too drastically new for you, because I know we've had some struggles in English throughout the year, and I want to keep it really based, especially since we're not in the classroom, to keep the questions going back and forth. So first off, we're going to look at the adjective. An adjective is it modifies or describes a noun or a pronoun. Adjectives can make a sentence clearer or more interesting. So basically we have the subject of the sentence, which is flowers, and we have the verb of the sentence, which is bloom, which we're familiar with. Now we have this extra word, which is the word white. And I don't mean Mr. White, of course, just white. Now, white, if you notice, the arrow points to what it modifies. In other words, this case, flowers. In a diagram, the diagram you have, which you can see right here, flowers, and then you have the adjective modifying flowers, so we just draw one line diagonal underneath for white flowers, and it makes the description. All right, then we go to the next side. We have comparative adjectives. Compare two things. They end in ER or are used with more or less. Superlative adjectives compare three or more things. So we have two different. We have a comparative, and you're going to want this for your reference as you're going through. A comparative means you're comparing, hence the term comparative. So this is comparing. Superlative means comparing three or more things. Three or more comparisons. So they're both comparing, but the superlative is the key phrase, which is three or more. All right, now, they usually end in EST or are used with most or least. Use ER or EST with some two-syllable adjectives and with all one-syllable adjectives. Use more or most and less or least. With some two-syllable adjectives and with all adjectives having three or more syllables. So you have large, larger, and largest. Then never use, notice what they say here, never use ER or EST with more, most, less, or least. All right, wonderful, more wonderful, most wonderful. And again, some of these we can take for granted because we've done these before. Okay, now I'm going to erase this so I can slide it up a little bit. Predicate adjective, which we're familiar with. We just got done with it, which is another reason we went to this chapter. Predicate adjectives are adjectives that occur in the predicate after the verb. So we have what we call PA. So I'm not going to go too much on those because you're familiar with those already from previous chapter. So we have Lisa looks happy. All right, looks is my linking verb. Subject is Lisa. And adjective is happy. So we have the linking verb going from happy to Lisa. It's showing the description. Write a predicate adjective after a slant to line with a diagram. Again, we've done this. We did this in the diagram, and we actually just got tested on it. All right? Do not confuse predicate adjective with direct objects. This is again a review. Remember, a direct object, we have an action verb. The active, I gave Mom yellow daisies. So I and then gave and daisies, direct object. All right. Yellow, in this case, is an adjective describing daisies. And then we have who received the giving was Mom. So if I asked you guys in class, I said, what would Mom be? And you immediately, I know, a lot of you would say I-O. Because we drilled on that and drilled on that over and over again. Okay, so not really new, but not too difficult on the second part. The first part, and again, this is a part that you're gonna need this to follow with the superlative and the comparative. And again, both of them are comparing, but one is when you have 2 to 3 or more, you have superlative. When you have basically less, you have just the comparative adjective. So let's take a look at some of the bottom ones. And again, I'll clean up my board a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Underline the adjective in each sentence. Draw an arrow from each adjective to the noun or pronoun. Okay? So we have, first off, we have insects are fascinating. So again, on the first one we have to underline the adjective. And we got to ask ourselves, what's fascinating? And in this case, let's take that line out there. Shouldn't do that because that means it's subject. So fascinating, which reflects back to describing insects. We have on the next one, hard shells. So we have hard describing shells. Shells being a noun, insects being a noun. Underline the correct form of the adjective. So queen ants are more large or larger than worker ants. All right, now if we take a look at that on there, just reading it, if we take a look at that back to the rule that we said earlier, it says on there, compares two things that end in ER or are used with more or less. All right, so in this case, queen ants are larger than worker ants. So it's comparing two sets of ants. All right, so therefore, large is my correct answer. Because I'm comparing one set of ants to the other set of ants. Comparing two things. Ladybugs are more colorful than mayflies. Okay? So we have, on there we have more colorful. More colorful than mayflies. Because if you take a look, when they end in EST or are used with most or least, use the ER-EST. Okay? And then last but not least, label the sentence pattern. SV, SVDO, SVIODO, or SLVPA. And again, LV linking verb. So Dad bought Mom gold jewelry. So we have the subject, Dad. What did he do? He bought, which is a verb, not a linking verb because bought is action. What did he buy? He bought some jewelry. Okay, and don't forget, in this case, you have the IO of Mom and the DO being jewelry. So you have the sentence pattern SVIODO, which is the third one. And then last but not least, then we have the diagram. And I'm going to kind of do the diagram off the side here. So we have a sentence structure. And I'm going to kind of make it off the side here. We have, starting off, we have the subject, Dad. We have the verb, bought. And then what did we buy? We bought Mom. So, which is our indirect object. And then last but not least, we have, what did we buy her? Jewelry. Okay. Now we have one last word which is different to our diagram we did before, and that is our adjective, which is gold, which gold is describing jewelry, so it goes under. as far as the diagram. Dad bought mom gold jewelry. So, anyway, again, not super difficult. If you have questions, again, gladly help you with it. And again, you'll be able to go back and walk through it on the directions. Again, the arrows, again, pointing to the adjectives. So like hard, describing shell, fascinating. So we have on there, so making sure that when you are doing these, you're having the adjective pointing to what it modifies. That's what you're going to be doing on the same lesson, same page. Do not need to do the apply and write at the bottom of the page. So you're basically doing 1 through 11. So on this page, and I'll even put it up over here, do 1 through 11. Okay. Hope it goes well. Again, let me know if you have problems.